All right, so let's see what a successful consulting would mean. Okay, so that we talked about traits, we went to details of how a customer typically, goes about thinking with his parameters in place, what sort of traits then come into play, and then uses the right kind of framework to give the outcome that is required. Okay, the outcome that goes about is typically what makes or breaks the whole successfulness, if you will, right? So let's understand what makes a consulting exercise successful, right? The first one, intuitive outcome. Again, if you remember, we said that the answer in the consultant's mind will already exist, but from his purview, he will never give an outcome, right? He will go deeper, does his research, finds the outcome, and with that said, he or she will go about finding those check boxes that he has, that where the actual solution lies, and then test the waters and go about giving the outcome. Now these are intuitive ones coming to play, but after the research, that whole verification that comes into existence, that gives the intuitive elements, right? And they will know what will work in that scenario of the customer in terms of their cultural aspects of things and how the future outlook is and where they get there or not get there. So typically they have an intuitive outcome from that perspective because they've done this over and over again. Okay, so that is the first element. So whatever they thought is really an outcome that comes about, is a successful consulting. That means the presentation they give for a paper as a solution is very well accepted by the customer, and they see that as a solution for them going forward. Okay, from a 360 degrees perspective. So that's the first one. Number two, please also understand this would mean intuitive outcome would also mean from a technical consulting perspective or a SME perspective, right? The outcome that is thought through serves the problem, that means solves the problem that was mentioned by the customer. In an SME or a IT domain, it is actually the outcome that they see in their face that has happened. For example, a 5% leak because of an IT system. If somebody fixes it, the 5% then converts into a profitability of maybe 10% more. That is an intuitive outcome which the IT solution consultant would have promised, and they're seeing in the rise and feet to the T, right? So that makes it a successful consulting exercise. Number two, the quality. All right. Again, quality, if you remember from rise 1 to the point where it was, I mentioned that quality is what the customer wants. Okay. It can be shabby but it is what that they want, so be it. All right. Not acceptable to you, but acceptable to them because that is what they wanted. That's the right quality that is being served to them. Okay. You might add your ethical inputs to it, suggesting what it should be, but end of the day, it's a customer. Once he accepts it and this is exactly what he wanted, so be it. That becomes the right quality. So the right quality typically has these three ingredients, right? First is communication. Okay, so they call consultants to be heard out. As simple as that. That's number one. Hence the consultant, as I mentioned to you, is a psychological hat that they wear. Okay, they are psychotherapists who are hearing them out. They will have the solution. They will not give the solution immediately. That's number one. Number two, interpersonal relationships. These are the most extrovert guys who can create relationships at the drop of their hats. All right. So that is one of the key traits of a consultant out there, right? So the relationship also helps and gives the trust that the customer has in them, and whatever they speak now on becomes their, the gospel truth, if you will. And then the cultural nuance of the company, right? As I've been mentioning through, right? The solution that they give, right? There could be many solutions for the problem given, but they pick and choose the one which is suiting to the environment of the customer based on the cultural and the future aspects of the company, which the direction that they're taking in, and the competition and this and the various other external factors. So the right quality consists of these three elements largely. Got it? So if everything is fallen in place, that means the customer has got the right quality by virtue of this relationship, communication, and cultural aspect of things. So the solution is being accepted and they are comfortable and are delighted with it. Number three, the time, and number four, the budget, right? Very important aspect from a customer standpoint. Why? Because consulting as an exercise is expensive for them. So it's a drain for them, though it serves the problem, the solution rather, from a problem perspective. Within time, within budget which is promised, is actually also a part of the quality, but has been mentioned separately because of the drain that goes into their balance sheets, right? So once they are reorienting their organizations, or the customer in this case, time and budget is of essence to them. So if a budget is promised, that means a consultant will be there for X amount of weeks and will deliver the solution in Y amount of time, and the outcome will be seen in, say, Z amount of time. That's what the customer wants, and if it falls to the T, it is a successful consulting, right? And typically, mind you, the inside trait is typically consultant delay. That's why if they know the solution, they will still delay it, because they're getting the hourly rate and your weekly, monthly rates and so on and so forth, okay? So, because of the ignorance of the customer, right? So they take advantage sometimes, but that is reducing because the customers are now becoming equally kind of benevolent to that, all right? So, the next item is easy to implement. So whatever solution that is provided should have the ease of implementation, right? It should not mean that you are completely disrupting the whole environment to put a new thing in place, unless it is strategic to them, all right, and they're wanting it to happen. This could be digitalization, it could be change management from a transformation perspective, a strategy change, or a business model change, or whatever that is, right? The bigger ones, because it might give you, they might be doing this for a futuristic reason or a strategic, endeavor from a competition perspective, and so on and so forth. So ease of implementation plays an important role for smaller changes, but from a transformation perspective, even implementing a transformation has to come with its ease of use, and we cover those topics during the change management activity, all right? So if it is done with ease, with no hiccups, it's a successful consulting, all right? So the next one is as per SLA. For people who don't know SLA, it's a a service level agreement based on whatever proposal that was given, and the time and the budget and the terms and conditions and so on and so forth, that from an agreement perspective has come to existence. If all of them has the right tick marks, it's a successful consulting, all right? Because SLAs is where typically it falls short, especially in the IT domain, right? The technology domain. SLAs play an important role because service is, from a technology standpoint, typically a service is executed. It is intuitive in nature because of the experience of the consultant involved, but you never know what can go and which path the technology might take, because of which SLAs typically get affected, right? So that is an area typically is usually gray, but from a business consulting or otherwise, it's been taken care of. And in the technology domain, now they start putting enough buffer, right? So which then they charge the customer for in any case. So buffer is taken care of as part of the SLA without letting the customer know, of course, right? So so those are important elements when you're drafting your own proposal in the future, and to make a consulting successful. So you put enough buffer so that whenever there's an overdrive, it's been taken care of. Then end of the day, the larger purpose is, from all perspectives, the stakeholders are delighted, okay? And this would be in internal and external ones, okay? So if it deals with the internal workforce or their partners, both of them should be as happy, besides the C class on the top, all right? So successful consulting typically consists of these kind of the pointers. So once you divulge into this, you should be understanding what you are aiming at, okay, from a successful consulting perspective as an assignment. Okay, so with that, we'll jump to what are the best practices to make consulting successful, all right? Whatever assignments that you are in your niche. I'll see you there.